Let's do a little something with the ground just to give it a little bit more texture. You know, we wanted the sky to be all nice and smooth, but the ground, that would just be a little ridiculous. Okay, so now my ground is going to be probably just more, browns and darks and darker tans and stuff like that, right? So I could go ahead and clean this area out, but knowing what I know about color, I don't need to. I don't know as I'm going to need much in the way of red here, but you know what? Maybe I'll save it because maybe I'll put some of that around here by the bottoms of the trees. That would be a nice touch, wouldn't it? Right? Because some of the leaves would be falling, right? Think about it. Remember, think like a tree, right? But over here, I've got these browns here, and I think that to this dark, oh, let's see. We'll just take a little bit of this yellow here. We'll mix it in. We'll see what happens. Okay, and I'm getting a nice dark green area. That's cool. Not sure if that's what I want, though. Right? Actually, it might not be too bad. And I want it to be a little bit darker than here, I think. Not too dark. Actually, you know what? I don't mind that green. That's actually kind of cool, I think. In fact, that might be setting me up for making some really nice darks for making some foliage and stuff like that. Maybe a little bit of, kind of grassy stuff there. Okay, so I've got a nice khaki green just by adding that yellow into all those dirty colors. They were mostly blue. Well, yellow and blue makes green, right? Okay. So we've got that. And I think, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and use this little brush right here. This has gotten relatively dry, and that's okay. That's probably a good place to start. Let's see. And so the ground tends to be, well, flat. It's ground, right? Well, I mean, it could be rocky, but this ground looks like it's kind of flat. So when I make my brush strokes, I'm going to make them more in a horizontal sort of way, right? I think that's maybe a little bit dark. That's okay. We've got white now, right? Got white. We've got a little bit brighter yellow. So white, brighter yellow. Make that even a little bit lighter. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, that's nice. So, okay. Now, if I just skip along the ground here, little by little, like a little bit here, right? And just I'm running those bristles of the brush over that, but not solid, not just like as I painting a fence or something like that, right? No, just letting the brush just skip over that, and it's going to make all those different sort of areas in there kind of rough. And I don't know about you, but thinking about the ground, I'm going to be the ground. The ground tends to be, well, kind of rough. And getting it right in under here, under these trees here. Look at that, instant texture. And if I get a little bit on my turtles, I'm not going to be too worried about that. They're pretty well established. I put that little bit of white there where they're going to be, and, I can paint into that all whenever I want to. And so even with the ground, I might start thinking about, well, like some areas might have more of a ridge to it than others. So let's say, for instance, if I was setting up this area here, it might get a little bit darker, a little bit darker. And running that down as a diagonal pattern down to give a little bit of semblance of structure, even to the ground. Even to flat ground is going to have a little bit of structure to it, right? Think like the ground, children. Okay. And I'm going to be setting up maybe a little bit more dark underneath those turtles, right? So if I'm going to have a darker area, that means I'm going to have lighter areas too. So maybe some areas that I don't touch near so much. But definitely under these turtles. And I'm remembering my little bit of a landscaper's trick of having things be, generally speaking, a little bit darker towards the bottom and a little bit lighter as it goes towards the middle of things. Okay, and so same old color as before, but maybe a little bit of more yellow, maybe a little bit more white, just to break that up. I want snow though, so maybe definitely a little bit more yellow into that. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to kill. Once again, like the trees, I don't want to kill all my darks, right? So this area here started getting a little bit smushy. Just don't work in that area anymore, right? Just move on. That's all you got to do. And like before too, wherever I have my darks, maybe that's where I put my lights over top of them a little bit, starting to get a little bit of a semblance of structure. Maybe some little bit of darks underneath those lights. That's okay. Here and there and here. Doesn't matter. But I took all that time to make this background here. If I cover it all up, no big deal. But I don't need to, right? I can leave large parts of that area just showing through. That's fine. See, because it's not white anymore, so I don't need to worry. Any place that's got, not paint on it now has paint on it from before, so it's all good. Okay. Let's see. Now I'm going to really start thinking about shadows and other things, maybe a little bit more texture in here. I think we'll go ahead, as long as we got this dirty brush, doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead, and I said that the light was coming in this way, like kind of from the top and towards it. So in any case, let's go ahead and throw a little bit of a shadow underneath those trees. So I've got a little bit of that darker, just this right here. I just got that green from before and kind of mixing it with this here and just getting a little semblance of that dark. But remember, if the dark light's coming this way from the front and the side, we're not going to get a big shadow down here because the light's going back away from us, right? The shadow's going back away from us. A little bit, because we want to show that those trees have dimension, and we want it a little bit more towards the one side than the other, but not a lot. A lot of what we do in art just has to do with logic. Just got to think about things. Okay, so that's not so bad. And we'll take some of this same dark here. Same old dark. You see, Mr. Coon's lazy, man. I don't mix up a whole bunch of new stuff. And we'll just throw a little bit under where the turtles are going to be. Oh, looking a little bit too blue. So if it's a little bit too blue, we're going to have to add some orange to it. In this case, just a little bit of the yellow. Here, it's making it more green. If it's getting too green, we can always add a little bit more red. In this case, we'll add the magenta red. Why not? Get myself a nice, really dark khaki green from that combination of things. That's going to be better. Much too blue before, even a little bit more. Okay, and a little bit of stuff underneath those turtles. Once again, I'm not stroking that hard. I'm just sort of scrubbing around with that brush there a little bit and letting it catch the little bumps in the canvas. I hope that you enjoy the canvas because it's just such a different, neater sort of surface to work on. As you notice, it didn't bubble all up. It didn't deform all over the place. It didn't soak up all the moisture out of the paint all at once. And it has this little bit of texture to it that you can really play with in conjunction with your brush to just kind of make things happen. You don't even have to work at this stuff. It just happens. Okay, and so here we go. We got a little bit of a shadow under those turtles. Now, let's go ahead and just make some turtles.